valley and so forth. And there are still at the bottom of the air landscape, and of course there's a lot more that you can learn in AI. So this is one slide that you need to look at carefully and try to remember these things. I have three sections here. These are the main components, patterns and parameters that you need to create an effective prompt. It's like the prompts are like, the what you give or what you ask is what you get. Right? You could give a simple instruction, a one-line instruction, and you would still get output. But is that sufficient? It depends on what you're using it for again, right? Or you want a more sophisticated answer, you need to build better prompts. And for that, you need all these things. You need to give better context, better instructions, input data, output indicators, and you also have patterns. So patterns are more of how you construct the prompt. What are the different types of prompts that you can construct, and parameters define how you get these outputs. So I'll come back to this three sections as I show you the demos in the next slides. So here, I'm using DeepSeek for the demo here, and in the first demo, I'm just showing you a very simple instruction. If you look at this, I'm just giving a very simple instruction to it. I'm just asking create a user guide for an analytics application, right? And it's going to go and look at it's going to check in the data sources that it has, and whatever information it finds is going to build content based on this prompt that I've given, and it's going to give you the output. I'm sure a lot of you are using a lot of applications, and you're already familiar with prompts, and you might be even using better prompts also. So if you look at the output here, it's given an introduction already to the document with the title. There's an introduction it's given, and it's also building a nice GeoC code, right? Like imagine like technical writers, if you have to play with an application and you want to come up with a GeoC, it's definitely going to take time. Right? It takes a week or two to explore the application, get all the details and put it out in the document as an outline. But if you see here, it's just generating in fraction of seconds. So this is more of your first draft that you get, like we had in the previous sessions, that you can take and start building your content in the next phases. So see, just building all the details in the GeoC. And if you remember, in the prompt, I haven't given any details to it. Like I haven't asked it to build a GeoC or include these specific parameters or any keywords. Nothing I've mentioned. Just given a very simple instruction to create the document and for analytics application, and it's given all these details already to me. So you have all the procedures. It's already building all the procedures, everything, and it's very simple because again it's based on the prompt that I've given. Now if you go to the end, it's again it's going to put all the sections. If you see this, that's what I like about DeepSeek. I think it's more built for tech writing, and it really gives better output for technical writing or tech documents. And so if you look at this, I haven't even asked to create a troubleshooting or support section, or I haven't asked it to build an appendix. I think most of the writers, sometimes you might forget to add philosophy of terms which might not be required, or the appendix also. So the next one I'll show you in this demo. I'll show you this is a prompt with more details. Like I showed you in the previous slide, you have different components or parameters here. if you look at it, it's more, for example, I've mentioned technical writer who's an expert in creating user guides and software applications. So that's it's more of setting your context, you're defining what the role is or what the role the application should take to build the content for you. Right? And then you have, I've also defined the guide for SaaS-based analytics application. I'm being very specific here. So I'm going to give the scope as analytics applications built on BI, Microsoft BI. That's the entire scope it's going to take. And whatever document it's going to create, it's going to build on that scope, right? And I've also mentioned the parameters for the number of content length. So I've said your introduction to Microsoft BI with 200 words. So that's it's going to take that, and you'll see the output how nicely it's going to build the content for you also. And I also mentioned the output indicator, which is where a brief, like if you see the features that it provides in bullet points, and also along with the procedures, I'm asked to include an overview and an example in each section. So I'll play this further, and you'll see that the kind of output that it generates. Okay, now if you go back and if you compare this with the previous prompt that we gave, you see it's given more information here. It's nicely taken the content from the data sources it has and also from the internet, and it's kind of start building all the output. So you can see the detail that it's giving, and if you look at the length of the paragraph that's created also, that's like somewhere close to 200 words. That it takes the content length that you give and definitely builds on that particular limit. And I also asked it to put bullet points, so it's going to create all the content based on the inputs that I've given here. And so if you see here, it's not created a TOC. And like, if you want it to even again generate a TOC, you need to mention that. If you mention that, create a TOC along with the content, it's going to create a TOC also for you. So it's created the entire document again here with all the details that we requested, and you see the procedures are also more elaborate here with more details and all the explanation that is given for the keywords and the descriptions are better here. Okay. So now if you go back, I'll show you more examples of how output changes based on the prompt here again. If you look at this example, so what I'm going to do here is, this is raw data that I've taken. So this raw data that I've taken from the internet, it has no formatting, I have not set any context here, so some context is lost. It's just more about a command, and there's a description for the commands here, and what I'm going to ask the prompt to do is put this nicely in a table. So I'm writing a prompt to say create a table with the three different keywords that I'm using here, right? Command type, command, and the description as three columns here, and then you also have the raw data. So I've just pasted the raw data as well, and now you can see what it does when you see the output. Okay, so you can see that how nicely it's creating a complete table as well for you. And the best part is it's even formatted the commands with the highlight and the formatting that you need to do for commands in the document. So these are the opportunities that you can actually use in a documentation, right? How well you can improve the documentation. But like when I said also in the initial sessions, it's not that the applications are going to help do your writing. Writing is our strength. We are technical writers. Writing is our strength, and that's what we need to build on, right? Not use the AI applications to do our work, or more use it as a reference point where you initially create a draft as a reference, take that and build upon that, where you can build better quality content and more structured information for the documentation that we do. So you can see more examples. Also, like you can also create train learning plans with DeepSeek. So I'm just giving another example here to create a learning plan or a daily for 30 days and recommend resources and practical sessions. It's going to take that, and if you look at the output, it again generates all the information. It takes sources from the internet. It like, you know, it's like magic. You know, like if you have to do this kind of research, it's definitely going to take a lot of time for us. And it's not only helping in technical writing; it's also very helpful in instructional designing as well. And even images now, there's so many applications. You can create flowcharts, you can create images or illustrations. Everything is possible today with AI applications. And why are we talking so much about AI today? Right? You have Industry 4.0 come into picture, right? Which has brought a lot of new technologies. And you see the companies are on a rat race. They're trying to implement or build new products and bring them to the market. And every company wants to adapt to AI, mainly to improve the productivity, right, and the quality of the output to be with the competition. Now, as technical writers, we definitely don't want to be left behind, and this is the time where you adapt to the new applications that are coming up. And the most important thing that I want to emphasize again for all of us to learn is prompt engineering. That's why prompt engineering is very important, and the better you write prompts, the more better output that you get. So, like I said, you have the three things: the components and the patterns and the parameters. When you know those basics, right? That's going to help you build better prompts. And they're like, if you go into technology, there's a lot of things that you need to still learn, right? But basics is what is more important for us. So this is like a prompt checklist. There's some 20 to 25 of them. But I've just picked the most important ones that will help in every prompt that we can write for tech writing, especially to generate content for ourselves. One is the tone. When you write a prompt, it's very important to define the tone also first. Like you want the content to be professional, you want it to be user friendly. You can take, for example, you can take a very complex code from the development team, and if you want to convert that into user friendly content, you need to specifically mention in the prompt, right? Take this command details and generate the content in a user friendly and easy to understand language. And it beautifully does that. And we are currently implementing some tools within the team as well. We have Copilot and some of the other tools that we want to bring in. And we also generate content based on some complex information that we get from the product development teams. So that's why it's helping us. One is generate content faster. Like someone said, right? The product development team comes and asks you for documentation, and when you go back and ask them when you want it, they might say, I want it yesterday. Yesterday is what I've heard a lot of that. So that's how fast they want. We all know that they come to us at the last minute. We are the last guys that they come to for documentation, and also the last guys they come to for blaming the issues that they find. Yeah, we are the first person. They don't have the last resort to do. They come to us to blame us. And when you use AI applications, it definitely is going to improve all that. Increase or reduce the time of generating content, improve the quality of the content that we give, and also, of course, find any issues that you already have with the content, right? Legacy content also, you might have just take that and you put the prompt into the prompt and check for do grammar checks and all these things, and that's very useful. Format is again, you can define the specific format. Like I showed you, you can define output in a nice table format, or you can generate XML file or Excel file, a Word file. All the outputs are possible today with these applications. And also act as, you can indicate the role of, like for example, I said, the expert technical writer in creating user guides, right? Or a technical writer who is expert in creating user guides. Then objective, what is the scope of the content that you want to generate? And audience, that is even more important for us, right? You need to mention who are the audience you're creating content for, the sales team, the marketing team, or is it your end users for whom you're generating content, and so forth. And terminology, and yeah, I mean that's also important for us because we need to mention what specific industry terms that we use. You're in analytics or you're creating maybe a networking software, documentation for networking software. There's specific terminologies for each of the domains that we work on. So using those terminologies is also very useful. And scope is more of what's the content length that you want and how much of information that you want. What is more specific output that you need from the prompt. And call to action is again, more or less around the same things. Like for example, you saw the learning material, right? It gave you examples, it gave the tasks that you can perform, and also the resources that you can use for learning. So like this, I think they're more, like I said, there's some 25 of them. There's a list that you have. It's available on the internet, you can look at it. But this is more important for us to use. And to last, this is like, that's my tagline, like learn, practice, and grow. So for anything that you need to implement, you first need to learn it. Learn, and unless you don't practice what you learn, you're not going to implement what you're learning. That's my timer. Before you show the timer, it's yeah, master the skill. I mean, we end up as jack of all trades, of course, right? We masters of this skills, API documentation, a lot of things that we master. Creating videos, you call it, you name it, and we say, okay, we know it, we do it. So now we have a new skill to learn. That's AI prompt engineering, and it's definitely going to be a very important skill. I should emphasize on that because I already see some job postings also coming up with companies asking for prompt engineers with like 12 lakhs of salary, like tax-free money. Alright, and so learn from practice. Practice, and practice that's what's going to get you where you want to be again. So any application, anything that you're using in technical writing, you just need to use it as much as possible and use all the features, and yeah, that's going to help us grow also when you learn more. Alright, so that's my presentation all about. Thank you.